reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. There is power, come on, in the name. Come on, you declare it. There is power in the name. There is power, there is power in the name, in the name. We know where it is to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. Say to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Transforming Lives radio show. I'm Pastor Lyndon Williams, filling in for Dave today, who is unavailable. We have an interesting topic as we talk about empowering small businesses and getting individuals to set up businesses which will build up the kingdom of God. You know, you cannot really do anything for God unless you have something to give, or to put it another way, you can only give that which you have. And we have some special guests today, but just before we do that, we're going to call Doc, as he will give us a short devotional and Moments with Christ. Dr. Macmillan, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, the brother of Dr. Dave. It is good to hear your voice and to see you, and it is great to be on the program. And as I heard the subject matter, the words of Jesus Christ just popped into my mind, which is so important on a subject like this. It is when Jesus Christ said, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness," and then he said, "All other things will be added." This is a key concept to have in our minds as we go through the program this afternoon. If we put first things first, we have nothing to worry about. And in this case, and for these few minutes, we see where Jesus Christ ought to be first, as we're doing on the program, I must say, and then first in our lives. And when we do that and be connected with him by faith, we have entered into the kingdom. For the kingdom of God is within us. We read in Luke 17, which means that is how it is. But he did not stop there. He said all other things, and the context was food, house, clothing, and so forth. He said to the folks, those who don't know me, the heathens, they worry about those things, but you don't. Seek me first, and you will get them. And that's the secret, because Jesus gives us the wisdom, the power. He makes available to us knowledge. That's what's going to happen this afternoon. And then he opens the way so that we can, through him, follow the instructions, and we can develop an abundant life. That's what he wants. He said, "I've come that they might have life and have it abundantly," not in poverty, not in stress, not in uncertainty. So it's just a beautiful fusion today as we surrender to Christ. Then we'll have information this afternoon that when followed in his power will cause us to enjoy the abundant life. Good afternoon to all, and we look forward to a great time together.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. At this point, I want to introduce Dr. Don Major. He's not a stranger. He has been on the show several times, who will introduce the special guest for this evening. So welcome, Dr. Major. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Pastor, for your words of introduction. It's a pleasure to be here on your program, Transforming Lives, so that we can uplift men and women. I believe that, as you mentioned, earlier, we will have a very lively and transforming program talking about small business. But without further ado, let me get right into the meat of the matter. Our special guest, Pastor Glenn Bodie. Unfortunately, I don't have much information about him, but I'm going to allow him to take the floor now and introduce himself briefly to us so that we can get a good idea as to his background and his qualification to speak to us on the topic of small business. Having spoken with Dr. Dave earlier, I feel quite sure that you'll be able to address this area quite satisfactorily. Pastor Glenroy Bodie, go right ahead, open up, and let us hear from you.
Thank you, and pleasant good evening to all that are tuning in on this station. My name is Glenn Bodie. I'm a minister in my local church, which is the New Bethlehem Baptist Church, where I serve as one of the ministers here. I've come from a background of 20 years in banking, which I thoroughly enjoyed. One of my degrees would be in business and professional management. I also have another in theology. So as a result, over the years, I always seeked to be in business and to be a part of business. And with that being said, here is why the reasoning as an introduction, why I'm here today. I know that Mr. Williams Dave would have sought me to come on the program, not necessarily to speak solely towards small businesses, but as a motivational tool to get those persons who are contemplating and who are in it presently to be that motivational voice to them as an introduction.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Let me just take it away following what Dr. Dave would talk about. We're all aware of his program dealing with the prison. One of the big concerns that he has always mentioned, and like you, I've been involved with him in doing seminars and workshops with regard to the prison. And I believe that a little bit later on, we'll have another young man coming on, but he's not so young, coming on, deals with how to arrange successfully the re-entry of prisoners or ex-convicts into society. And so I believe that we're going to be addressing the area of the situation that people who've been in prison find themselves in a very serious problem, because once they get out, having a record, many folk are reluctant to hire them. And so they run the risk of having no finances and find themselves being sorely tempted to go right back into the path where they came from. And so one of his initiatives has been to ensure that there are ways to help empower these men, young and old, and even the women who have been in prison, to find ways to empower themselves financially so that they can provide for themselves and their families, and so avoid the temptation of having to go back into crime again. And so I want you to take away from there. Let's go into your banking area. I know you've done banking. One of the biggest challenges that has come about is one that I faced quite a bit as my time as an executive at BAIC, Bahamas Agricultural and Industrial Corporation, where we deal with financing and entrepreneurship as well. The same problem that they face with the same problem that the people who are coming out of prison find. That is, the complaint always has been, how do we find money to start a business? And the big complaint always is that, well, banks don't lend money to small business. And I have an answer to that, but I'm going to let you deal with that first as a former banker as to why people find a challenge in getting money for small business loans from a bank. I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
There's a number of reasons. But the most difficult thing in lending is the ability to qualify on a track record. It's difficult for anyone to walk into an institution without no prior history and demand or make application for any amount. So what you find is over the years is banks generally do business with those persons that have a track record with them. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly,
when you say a track record,
sorry?
When you say a track record, elaborate on that a little bit for us, please.
Some banking history.
Okay.
Some banking history. Some cash in bank. But most recently, you will see that others may have the notion of selling a good business plan. They may have a backing, someone that stands with them in order to secure their processes. Because when you look at it, all banks are in business for the small time we'll be here, to make a profit. So it isn't necessarily that banks are going to take the risk when it comes down to it. Now, there are other outlays and other avenues by which we can do this. One of our speakers to our seminar will allude to this a whole lot. And his topic is successful startup in the Bahamian economy. We know the economy that we live in. We know one of our major or main industries, which is tourism. When we look at other aspects of income generation, and that's what it's about in business. I don't want to use the word it's difficult, but I just want to I'll stick with the fact that you have to have some line of character credibility in order to obtain any loan, also when dealing with small businesses.
The four C's.
Yes, business startup.
All right, dealing with what they call the 4 C's.
Yes, character. Can't remember the 4 right now. But
capacity.
Yeah, capacity. That's one of them.
All right, go ahead. So you have to be able to demonstrate that, one, you have the ability to pay back. The bank must see that you're being, for example, doing savings or transactions. So in the old days, that had to mean showing a checking account.
Yes. Seeing your operation of the account, not just holding one, but watching your general trends on the account of withdrawals, steady income flow, whether it's every week, every month, how often you make your deposits based on the type of business that you're in. It's difficult when you have sporadic deposits. We know that in anything we engage in, more withdrawals than deposit always leaves the negativity.
Yeah.
So when banks see you consistent with your deposits, they better feel more confident in their ability by which to lend. So when we look at small businesses, when we look at what the nature of it is, it's all about how you prepare yourself and present yourself in order to get it done. We can't jump up today and say I going into an institution. There are other lending institutions around as well, and say I going into the institution tomorrow, and I could get this money. No, it doesn't work. Life doesn't work like that. No. So certainly banking and other lending institutions won't work like that either. You have to be in the right frame of mind when it comes to preparing figures wise, the industry, the business. Some require business plans XYZ in order to get the whole gamut of it being ready. Now I know one of the things that you came up with, you picked up with Dave, and excuse me for Dave, I guess we close, so I need to call him Mr. Williams. But you picked up on him and certain persons he deals with. When I say persons, those that are generally through prison fellowship.
Right.
I too am a part, to a certain degree, through prison fellowship. I have a young man that I go every Sunday to release from the prison, who comes to church with me every Sunday. And he was a previous business owner. And here it is again. He's eager to get out so that he could return back to being successful at the business owner. So when we talk about the prison fellowship, I'm glad that I could lend that hand, if even just the one person at that level coming from there, where that's concerned. Just some history. Surprisingly, we speak about prison fellowship. There's another pastor that I'm involved with, who's also a part of prison fellowship. We recently, when this was already in motion, which is the company that we formed, President of Future Leadership was already in motion. In June of this year, we went I accompanied him into Africa for prison ministry. That was successful. But the first person that I would have encountered was a pastor who is running the very same program through the prisons. Now, my focus is not necessarily on prison ministry, but I have some experience where, as I told you, I pick up a young man there at this time, and we dealing with that. But I just find it ironic that you mentioned the prison ministry, because business is in that type applies to all. There's no limitation as to why I can't get into business. There's no limitation to why you can't get into business. And I think there's been a stigma, and this is one of the motivational tools that we will try to bring out through the company, Present and Future Leadership, that we want to remove those barriers and those stigma by giving you information in mindset first, and then all the other attributes will follow.
Okay. Go right ahead. Take the ball. So, in other words, what you are saying, if I can sum it up this way, is that you can get money from the bank if you learn to speak their language. And their language is track record, history of how you obtain money and how you dispose of money.
Yes.
Would that be a fair summary?
That's a great start. Yes, it is. Yes, okay. It is. It's a fair summary. It's a fair summary. I mean, it's a very adequate summary at that too. I don't think, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the banks and those, but I don't think we're not in the business of they're not in the business of throwing it away. So it's the same thing. Those that get into business, it's very valuable, which means that you shouldn't just enter into any business without doing the necessary work behind it, the track record, the logistics of it, seeking to see what profit margin you may want to obtain, know whether it's a secondary business income generator for you and your family, or you just want a little something on the side. So the gamut of things that you have to consider, which has been one of the downfalls. And through Present and Future Leadership and through the seminar that we're having, we're trying to bring some of those things to the forefront.
Very good, very good. I don't know if you have any other presenters that you want to present to us now, or if you have a particular format you want to follow. Go right ahead.
Well, first of all, I could start on the company, if you don't mind. That'll be fine. Ahead. Okay.
That'll be fine.
Well, the company is an incorporated company. the initial thrust of it, the name is Present to Future Leadership. And I'll first say where it was birthed, and then I'll say what the company is. A lot of years ago, I would have come out of maybe 2 or 3 failed businesses. And I want to say it again. So we could understand that you may not get it on your first business.
Right.
You may not get it. So,
Mhm.
you know, in prayer and contemplation of wondering what happened, because I thought I had my I's dotted and my T's crossed. Being Christian, believing in the power of prayer, I would believe that the Lord had given me this company, Present to Future Leadership, almost 20 years ago. Here now, it's coming off the paper. There's a vision set, and we're ready to take off or launch forward in business, or providing information motivationally for others to try and grab hold of this. And I should have mentioned that in the background too. I had 2 failed businesses, which is very important for us to understand.
So the baby is now born.
Sorry?
So the baby is now born.
Yes. And being our brother's keeper, which is a biblical mandate. You know, I don't want to see the same threshold that I would have fall victim to, others would fall victim to as well. So through Present to Future Leadership, 20 years, vision, thinking about it every couple of years, I was able to, I don't want to use the word dust it off, but I was able to bring it to the forefront. Having already established 2 other businesses after, that's now sustaining me in the sustenance that I need. So what Present to Future Leadership is, and what it does is, it allows for us motivationally at this point, and then in the future, in another 2-3 years, once we've established and people feel comfortable, is seeing where you are in business and providing the data, the information necessary to move you as an individual, but primarily be dealing with business and your business to the next point of where you need to be. So right now, we're not the company that does the business license for you, or does the VAT filings and stuff. You know, right now we're the motivational company saying this is where you at. Let us help you get to the next point. So that is the genesis of Present to Future Leadership, what it stands for. Your business at present, and providing the tools and conversation and information necessary to move you into the next levels. And when we talk about our speakers, you'll see that our topics are ones chosen carefully that will guide our attendees in that direction.
So it would be fair to say that you're talking about providing a foundation and a framework upon which to build and grow some kind of business.
Primarily. However,
Okay.
like we pointed out, one of the topics, and we'll get into it later on, is not just building it. I mean, not just starting it. We have a startup as a topic, but it must be sustained. So if you only have a 3-month window, you sewing your belly up. You must have the ability to sustain the type of company, the type of business that you envision. And what comes with that also too is your knowledge of it. We see that a lot of people entering into certain businesses with no knowledge of it. So when the persons that they employ would bail out, you see the business belly up because you were not the brain, you just provided the finances, the capital for it. So you too must need that information, and that is what Present to Future Leadership is about. Coming out of Present to Future Leadership right now is, and if you don't mind, I could get into the event. Coming out of yeah, coming out of present future leadership as a kickoff event is what we call BBS, which is our Believers Business Summit. And it is exactly what it is. It is a business summit for those who may be involved presently in business and those who are even contemplating getting involved in business. It will provide the framework. And what we have done, we have outlined a very diverse group of speakers. So we intend to attract a diverse group of audience. We would love to have someone as Dave pushes his show, Transforming Lives. I want fresh out of prison, attend the seminar. We'd like to have somebody who was in business 30, 40 years attend the seminar. So that is how we get it in order to cater to all facets of society, from small to medium size and even large businesses. I believe in the artist. We pulled a subscription taken from Deuteronomy 8 and 18. And it speaks to the Lord saying, I will give you, and you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who will give you the power to get wealth. Right. One of the scriptures pulled through it. It came from a time where the Lord was just saying, remember me. And sometimes even in business, when we arrive, we don't sustain it. We take from the business too early, which would have happened in my two initial businesses that failed. Took from it too early, and it wasn't able to sustain itself afterwards. So you have to remember some things in order to move your business and keep it sustained. I remember discussing it with the entire team and trying to break down what is it that we were about. And that was one of the most difficult things that presented itself to me. Sometimes as you would have the vision, sometimes you would have the dream in business. You would know what you want, but if you don't have the right semantics around you, you can have the capital you want. If you don't have the right environment, you still are not, success still doesn't come. So here in Present and Future Leadership and the Business Summit, we believe in faith-based businesses primarily. And one of the things we want to talk about, and one of our slogans we have is faith plus works equals success.
Success.
Okay. Yes. So there are others out there, who believe they'll have the faith to get it done. That's fine. But they're not moving one step. They're not personally moving a step forward, which is making sure that all the things and the foundation is there. And others that work plenty, but they lack in the faith to move the business in the areas where it needs to be. So for us, it's faith plus works is almost guaranteed the success.
They must work hand in hand.
Yes, and that is one of the things we'll be presenting as a primary go at it. There are other ways, of course. I mean, there's no one monopoly, but being faith-based, being a believer in the things of God, that this is the way that I've seen success.
So that would be God providing for them, to them using their abilities, plus working hand in hand with God, applying the principle or concept of faith.
Correct. Oftentimes we move away from who we are in order to accomplish some things and try and step back to where we are. And not just believers on the whole, but people in general. I'll allow you to take me out of my fabric, my framework, to get something done. And then sometimes we try to go back to my framework and realize that it's a bit impossible to get back to your framework because you've already given up so much. I just want to go through, if you would allow me, in the next couple of minutes, and then to go through the theme, the vision, and the mission that we have outlined.
The ball is in your court. Go right ahead.
Okay. As a theme for this year's summit, which will be, and by the way, when I get to the details, it'll be the second Saturday in every November, the second Saturday in November of every year. But the theme is building kingdom businesses through excellence. So that is going to be something you're going to hear. You will hear coming out a lot. Excellence, excellence. And I say that because we live in the Bahamas, eh? And we move around, and we see, if you ask the person serving you a question, we see the looks on their face. We see most times their inability to want to continue to serve you, and sometimes that just adds up to a lack of ignorance on their behalf of the product that they're selling, which comes out in the excellence role. You have to know your product.
Yes.
You have to know your product. Once you know your product, then you feel a lot more comfortable to speak to the client that's in the front of you. Because you're speaking now with confidence. So building kingdom businesses through excellence. And excellence is one of those words that we could use and throw about. But excellence comes from the foundation. It comes from the genesis. You can't throw on like we all know the foundation. You can't throw up all the everything else out of whack, and then you say, okay, we are now going to invest all the money on the roof. It don't work like that. So excellence starts at its foundation, and that is something that we seek. Even when we sought to put it out there, we wanted to do everything right. We wanted to do everything above board. We wanted to do everything that would provide a company and a service that will actually serve the people whom we come in contact with.
Reminds me of the parable in the Bible where Jesus talks about building on the sand as opposed to building on the rock.
Yes, we know the sand don't work. The sand don't work. We know what happens when that happens. It shortly falls. And that's where sustainability comes into, which one of our speakers will be talking about. You must be able to sustain your business, and you can't sustain much on the sand. And sometimes when you see that, it means that the foundation of which you entered something was not right. Was not right. And sometimes it's very difficult. You may have to break down in order to start again, to repair some of those cracks and that you may have going forward. After the theme, we have our vision. And the vision is to transform and develop the mindset of kingdom business owners towards wealth creation through financial security. Now, they say some words that generally tend to frighten people, especially when they talk about wealth creation, where it has so many meanings as pertaining to generations, and some say, okay, you may be rich, but you don't have wealth. And so we just want to say, the ability to sustain yourself and your family while serving your community has to do with wealth creation. Yes. That's what the old adage is. I quote a scripture from the Bible, and this is what it says. I think it was maybe the psalmist David. He said, Lord, don't make me so poor that I beg, but yet still don't make me so rich that I forget you. And that is some of the things that we need to consider when we've been talking about this big word that we're afraid of wealth. Just the ability to comfortably and successfully sustain you and your family, those around you, and preparing for that rainy day, we call it, whether we want to call it old age, whether we want to call it economic downturn. It comes in many, we call it sickness. It comes in many different forms. So that is how we view that as a team. Also, our mission is to foster an environment where the active creation and sustainability of faith-based businesses, watch this, can exist and be supported. And be supported.
And be supported.
Yeah. You know, I could throw plenty of these out at you because, like I tell you, I'm a believer first.
Mhm.
So here's the notion. Be kind and affectionate one to another, particularly those in the household of faith.
Okay.
So oftentimes we find where we need to support one another, even as Bahamians, eh? Let's support um
Support.
let's support one another.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's support one another. I know and I'm not the spokesman for my church, but we try and support businesses within first. Those we come in contact with on a daily basis need to feel your support. So that's one of the things that we look at. Most persons, when we talk about it, don't think of a goal. You know, all you'll see is a vision and a mission, but there has to be a goal.
That's where you go.
And our goal is to equip kingdom business owners with essential tools in the mandate of wealth creation and sustainability. We want to give you the tools. We want to give you the tools. Like I say, today we won't be the company that does your filing and whatever and put in for your business license. No, not today.
Mhm.
But in order to prove where the name and the brand of the company, present, the future leadership, this is where we are presently. But when you look at us in 3 years or 5 years, you will see that we would have already branched off into other fabrics of assisting businesses and individuals within our community by which we serve.
Okay. So do you have any linkages with companies that do that sort of thing that you're not doing, just business licenses, VAT application, and those sort of things,
Well,
business plan?
we're aware of who they are, but I wasn't given rein to even pronounce their names. But they're everywhere. You could go online and pull them down. They're everywhere in our country. There's a lot of
Yeah.
flyers going around with them.
Mhm.
So I just want to tell persons who's struggling in those ventures to look up somebody that has the track record of knowing how it's done, rather than you frustrating yourself and in turn frustrating the process. What's so strange is even when it comes to business. Here's another biblical adage: sometimes we die out in the businesses even before the journey begins. And let me tell you what I mean by that. We struggle we struggle to operate and get into the business arena, but we think it's red tape, and we get frustrated at what we may term red tape, rather than just going through the process, rather than just being informed, rather than calling the necessary agencies by which to get it done. And I could go to the left and then I could come right back because I don't want to be there. Rather than going through another door, go through the front door.
Go to the front.
Yeah, yeah. So that you too will have an appreciation for what it takes to open and establish and sustain your business. Go to the front door, Doc.
That's a very positive spin. And
Yes.
that's in line what we used to do at BAIC when people complain, as you said, about the red tape. Well,
yeah,
that's one way of looking at it. But if you look at it this way, it's a means of doing a major thing that is preparing you for what lies ahead.
Yes.
If you can get past those obstacles,
yes,
it gives you, it's like learning how to creep and crawl and then you walk.
Yes, yes, yes. And when you're moving around, going to the various agencies, you begin to build meat. You begin to build understanding, determination, investment. Because you have, after all of this, you have to feel invested in your company. You just don't work hard with no return or no reward.
I like that. I like that. You know what you're doing? You're demonstrating now one of the first things you said, proper mindset.
Mindset. And that is what we're about. Yes.
So what you demonstrated right then was showing how a change in mindset can move you forward as opposed to getting you frustrated and holding you back.
And that is what the company at this time is. We want to deal with your mindset. So what we did to prove our belief in our foundation had to be right. So we went through every step and every process to get it done. We called.
You've been talking the talk and now walking the walk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the company through prayer has, and I mean, I have an awesome team. I can't wait for others to meet them. But the company itself is now being built, first of all, on the vision from God. Secondly, we established on this segment, I'm a great team. Thirdly, our mindset was right now. We on the same. See, we know what we want to accomplish through the company, and our foundation, we said, had to be right. Have to be right. Now, in everything you do, we still biblically based. As I come in, Jesus shows 12. There's always going to be an opposition to what you're doing, but it ought not to be a deterrent to the vision.
Pastor, I see another program coming in. You have a lot of information. It can't be encapsulated in this one program. I see another program here coming in.
Well, that's no problem. You just before, I don't know how much time we have, but I could just run through the event to make sure that those listening could get it in.
Yeah, we have another about 17, 18 minutes or so.
Okay. So let's talk about... Sorry?
Anybody have any questions? Just put in the chat and we'll see if we can deal with it. But go right ahead, Pastor.
Okay. Well, this is what we have assembled. The first annual Believers Business Summit is set for November 9th at 8 a.m. Start 8 a.m. You come in, you get registered. We have light breakfast, and then we allow us an opportunity for about half hour while we're registering everyone else to come in, where you'll be able to form a network of persons that will be there. We have, other vendors coming as well. You'll be able to interact with them as well. While before the seminar starts proper, that when I first established, and we talked about it originally, my mindset was dealing with motivational part of it. But the team agreed that we need to add some application parts to the seminar in its genesis. So what we have done is you won't be only motivated speaking in your mindset, but you will have some applications. So we have some persons coming that will provide that for you. Okay. We have 3 dynamic speakers that operate as the core speakers. We have some additional ones. We have Dr. Cassius Stewart that will be coming. He'll be speaking on successful startup in the Bahamian economy. We have Bishop Bronson Gibson coming. He'll be speaking on the spirit of excellence in business. And we have businessman Ethan Moss will be coming. He'll be speaking on investment and sustainable capital in small to medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
We have applications available on our site, or you could reach out to me or any member of the team at present, the number 2, future leadership at gmail.com, where we have an electronic version of what we have going around. Again, National Training Agency. There are opportunities for businesses as a network tool to place ads in our booklet that will be coming out. And we're just trusting and believing God that we'll have a full attendance. This is a conference that you don't want to miss. And I know we hear that often, but this is different. And we know it's different. And because we want to give back to you. So we know it's different, but we believe in God that it will have a great reward. Psalms 115 tells us a portion in there saying, that God has the heaven of heavens, but He's given the earth to the children of men. So let's occupy the part that we may have. So it's at the National Training Agency in the Sea Salt Room. We'll be there for the early registration. will take place. Any
And
questions? I could just go on some more if you wish.
the address of the place, the address of National Training Agency.
National Training Agency is where the first event will be held, which is the Believers Business Summit will be held on November 9th, at 8 a.m. to 1. Like I pointed out, there'll be registration. There'll be a light breakfast. You get your bags to go with the seminar. Also, you'll have a light lunch afterwards, even with the speakers and the other persons that we have coming that will be presenting. You'll have application information, the ability to network. We have an investment cost of $100 for the seminar. I've been told by my team that we have to have the early bird price, and the early bird price is $75 on or before October 5th. And then the price goes back to $100. Unless you have a group 5 or more, then the price remains $75. Then the price remains at $75 each. Yes. So any questions, other further questions that I could?
Do you have a flyer? And can you give us your website?
Yes. You there?
Hello?
Hi, my apologies. It's present, PRESENT, 2, which is the letter 2, future leadership at gmail.com. That's the email address, but the web page is just present to future leadership.
Present to future leadership.
Leadership, yes.
Okay. Lower caps, regular caps?
Regular cap, all small, regular caps.
Oh, present, TO.
Present, no, not TO. It's the number 2.
The number 2. Okay. Present to future.
Yes.
Leadership. Okay,
leadership.
Good. Do you have a flyer that we can share so we can send out to people, to our contact? Or you don't have one yet?
As I told you, I don't have it on this system, but I do have one. I'll make sure I get it to Dave. I think I would have sent him one. I sent him one earlier, but I know he's somewhere else right now.
Yeah,
and when I'm going to join them. But I sent one to him, but I'll send him some more information, and we'll be glad to come back on your show maybe a week or 2 before the event, because there are tons of information on the subject, and there's only me one at this time. So if the team was here, definitely you would have said, oh, we need more time, because the team is just as excited as I am to put this information out, one that's long overdue, but we believe that God is with us, and it's in God's timing that it will get done.
Okay, I don't see any questions. Anybody have any questions yet from those on the chat? But let me just start the ball rolling this way. If nobody else has any questions, what would you expect to see at the end of this summit? What are you looking for at the end of the summit?
Okay. Let me just give you the written, and then I'll break it down. The written is the goal, which to equip kingdom businesses and new business owners with essential tools mandated for creation of wealth and success. That's the written one. At the end of the summit, we expect that those who are in attendance would be given information that not only impact them as business owners, but impact their life in general.
So like I was saying, that you're expecting to be transforming lives to transforming business. To
transforming businesses. Enough information is out there that provides the foundation for them to start right. So one of the other things we want to obtain out of this seminar, when you leave there, you would know that there's a start right process. Yeah, you just don't jump into it. There's a start right process. We intend to form in Genesis a network of persons and individuals there that we can share with you based on your questions directed to present to future leadership. we'll be able to gear you or steer you in the right framework and in the right direction. We know that in the Genesis, we may not have all the nits and bolts based on your specific industry, and that's not what we're trying to do. That's not what we're trying to do, or the specific business that you're trying to get into. There are other companies out there that's doing that. What we intend, you will leave there with a mindset of excellence, a mindset of this is where I need to go, a mindset of this is how I will get this done, the mindset of with believing in myself and with faith and putting the work in, success is inevitable.
In other words, they'll be leaving there with what we used to call a checklist for starting a business and operating a business.
Yes, that will be available. That will be available.
Okay.
That will be available. It will be shared, but I like that concept, and I'll make sure that we provide our attendees with that checklist. So that'll be something for us, me and my team, to work on within the next week or so. Because I like that concept as well. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay. What about persons who might want to advertise? Is there any provision for persons who might want to advertise or even sponsor?
We have a sponsorship. Drive that you'll find by this week on the web page. Those who want to sponsor can either contact me on my phone number, contact the email. But we have some things that we've sent out to some of our sponsors, platinum sponsors. You know, you get the Facebook advertisement, you get a booth at the seminar by which to advertise your business. You get your banner erected, and we will run a Facebook ad for your business for a year based on the level of sponsorship you coming at. One of the things you could also expect from Present and Future Leadership is every month there will be a writing on our page as it pertains to business. Not necessarily a specific business, but as a motivational tool. We may at times pick an industry based on the member of the team that is writing, because as we point out, we have a diverse team. We have a banker on the team. We have a lawyer on the team. We have an IT person on the team. So the team is very, very diverse. So you may see that coming out in the writing. And maybe geared towards that, but we'll put that out every month to keep our followers, keep our participants motivated and geared towards the process. But you will be seeing other things from Present to Future Leadership, but the summit is just the annual business summit, and will be bigger and better every time in order to follow our mandate of Present. This is where we are now, but we know how to get to the future, to get bigger and get better.
We've been talking with Pastor Glenroy Bodie from Business to Future, Business Present to Future Leadership with regard to business operations. And we appreciate your information. We appreciate the content you provide. We have about 5-6 minutes left. What would you like to leave with our listeners?
That's a difficult question. There's just so much.
We talk about an elevator pitch in business. You know about that. You know about that. I know I put you on the spot there.
Apart from saying, come out to the seminar, it will be a blessing. There was a friend of mine many years ago. Sometimes there's a place for your provision that God has, or your idea to come to surface. I believe in this seminar, your place of your provision will be highlighted in your mind. That leaving this, yes, because sometimes you find yourself in a rut, or not knowing how to get out of a particular hole or move the business forward. The place of your provision that God's have, I believe you will find it at this seminar. Through one of our speakers, and even in the whole ambiance on it, that will move you from where you are to the next point. So the place of your provision is November 9th. You will find it at our seminar at the National Training Agency. We only waiting on you.
I can piggyback on that by adding something that Dr. Miles Monroe used to like to say, which
Go
was
ahead.
that if God gives you a vision, he will ensure that you get a provision.
Yes, yes, yes. There may be the right idea, the right concept, the right person that's
Right,
sitting
brothers.
that will support it.
So it's conceivable then that you will also be helping people to uncover, if they hadn't already uncover their vision.
Yes, yes, and that's why I said originally it's about mindset. It's originally about moving you from where you are. You don't need to be stumbling in the dark where you have other persons around you, kingdom-minded citizens, preferably that can help you through this venture. As I said, I had 2 failed businesses. I could have stayed down. I could have stayed there. But then the world would not be able to appreciate what I'm saying to you today if I had run into my cocoon with no promise of developing into the beautiful butterfly, the great foundation that you see talking before you today. Don't stay down.
Well,
Let's move.
As someone who was in the classroom for many years and also involved in business, I know that entrepreneurs, and I've been in that world for a long time as well, they would tell you that most successful businesses have a trail of failed businesses behind them.
Okay.
If you haven't failed in business, it's highly likely that you will become a success. Success doesn't come over.
Yeah, yeah.
You have, that's akin to when you're learning to walk, having to fall down.
Yes, yes.
You remember how we used to learn to roller skate back in the day?
You had to have it straight.
Yeah. You look almost as old as I am, so I can talk to you about that kind of thing. If you haven't fallen down, take a knee.
But it's almost like a rite of passage, if I could use those words, to say that you would have failed in business, which a lot of people don't like to hear. But it's the same concept. It allows you to put more meat on the next one, pay more attention going forward. Yeah, it allows you to pay more attention going forward.
Yeah, they call it failing forward. That's building on your failures to make sure that the next step is a step up the ladder as opposed to stepping down. So that's very, very important. Your mindset illustrates and demonstrates the fact that failure is not an option. It's not an option. So we don't call it failure. We just say, listen, what Albert Einstein said, people say that he failed 111 times. He said, no, I didn't fail 111 times. I learned how not to do it.
Yeah.
111 times.
Yeah. So you learn how not to do it. Yes. I fully agree with that.
Yes, you've been listening to Transforming Lives with Pastor Glenn Bodie. This is Professor Don Major. Have been sharing with you information about their upcoming business summit for believers, kingdom citizens, kingdom business persons, having to move the next step forward in order to build a sustainable business that will allow them to provide for their families while they are serving the communities and the nation as a whole. 1 minute to wrap, Pastor Bodie, then we go on.
I just want to say I could feel the excitement and the success in the air. But most importantly, I could feel the valuable information that we have wrapped up in us that we want to give to you. If we keep it, we would have failed. You quoted Dr. Miles earlier, who speaks primarily about the wealth and the knowledge being in the grave. But I want to quote my pastor as we leave. He says, as kingdom citizens, we are to be the best reflection that we can every day. Every day.
Amen
so
to that.
At this point through business ownership, that's the best reflection I want to be able to put out there. By doing that business right, I'll be the best reflection to the world of what a kingdom business looks like.
Thank you for being with us. As I listen to your vision and your mission, I'm reminded of a good friend who was on the program, who began the program for us, Dr. Macmillan. He speaks in that language as well. So at some point in time, you might wish to connect with him. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to those who are here with the program. We ask you to remember the program comes on again next week at 4 o'clock with Dr. Dave and his co-host, Sister Julie. We want to thank our technical man, Pastor Lyndon Williams, who has been shepherding us through this process. May God bless you as we continue to move forward and build one another as we build our community through business, serving the whole man. Have a great day. Thank you again, Pastor.
Thank you for having me.